Welcome to Cinema Chop Shop. Watch, chop, retrofit.
So this wasn't really talked about a lot in the media, but I saw a clip of it. Trump's over in China right now, and he was sitting down with Xi, and he motioned to the attendant that was pulling out his chair for him that something was wrong with his seat. And the woman pulls out the cushion from the seat, like a regular cushion that you would have in a chair. And he sits down at the table like this is normal. And now he's sitting like a full head shorter than the president of China.
Do you think he thought it was a whoopee cushion?
Maybe. Like, were they trying to pull one over on him?
You almost got me. This is not a geopolitical...
No, never.
Practical joke podcast.
It's Cinema Chop Shop. It's a movie podcast where we get around and talk about movies. And we're back. It's going to be a fun episode because this was coming from the Peanut Gallery from last episode. So thank you guys for recommending it. I'm your host, Shawn. I'm joined with the regular gang of idiots. I've got Joey Poole.
Here, head idiot.
And I've got Todd.
Howdy.
And I got Travisito.
Making his triumphant return.
Thank you. Thank you for coming back.
Why did you call them the Peanut Gallery? That sounds really insulting.
Penis Gallery?
Better.
The theme of the episode is going to be road movies featuring RVs/campers/buses. We were joking we were going to do summer camp movies, and that somehow evolved into this. So
it was a real collaboration. How it kind of
we're
evolved.
rolling into summer.
It's right around the corner, so I think this is a perfect episode. So thanks to the Joey and Todd for recommending it or coming up with it. It was very organic.
Yes.
Which is unusual for us, so good job. Road movies. Anytime you're going from point A to point B, you've got a physical destination that you're trying to reach, and typically that's a metaphor for something bigger. You're trying to discover yourself. You're making some sort of life change or some sort of twist and turn that's unanticipated. That's what we usually get out of road movies, and I think we'll see that in several of these. Then we introduce the wrinkle of doing the RV/camper self-contained mobile unit that represents the home on the road.
And if you think about it, it's been used a lot.
Yeah.
Just recently, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, is pivotal in that.
Nomadland, we didn't even mention.
Didn't talk about that. Yeah. We did mention Little Miss Sunshine, which it was just a van, I think.
Yeah.
But still kind of fits that mold.
Yep.
And it's a good plot device to, like you're saying, that containment. Almost like a bottle episode of a TV show. The proximity will create conflict and storylines.
I even entertained a movie from the early 2000s, Rat Race.
Oh, yeah.
I think John Lovitz and Kathy Najimy
It's like a wannabe, it's a mad
Yes, exactly,
world.
yes. But Kathy Najimy and John Lovitz, as I recall, had an RV. And had the famous line of the daughter wanting to take a bathroom break, and she said, "But Dad, I'm prairie dogging."
Oh, gross.
And it very often is it's a classic American metaphor for the freedom of being able to plant your roots wherever you want, whenever you want. But then most of these movies, as we'll talk about, sort of try to undermine that value.
I think our first,
especially our feature,
our feature segment will really speak to that notion to comedic effect. So we'll jump right in then. Our feature segment is going to be the film Lost in America, directed by Albert Brooks. It was released in February of 1985, starring Albert Brooks, Julie Haggerty, Gary Marshall, Maggie Roswell, and Michael Green. After David Howard is denied a long-awaited promotion at his Los Angeles advertising firm, he impulsively quits and convinces his wife, Linda, to liquidate their assets and drop out of society. Armed with a brand-new Winnebago and a $100,000 nest egg, the couple sets out to rediscover America in the spirit of the film Easy Rider.
Yep.
Yeah.
Their idealistic journey takes an immediate and disastrous turn in Las Vegas when Linda's hidden gambling addiction leads her to lose their entire life savings in a single night.
Yeah.
Left with nothing but their motorhome, the yuppie couple is forced to navigate the harsh realities of minimum wage life in rural Arizona, ultimately discovering that finding oneself is much harder without a safety net.
I just want to say that if you have a marriage that can withstand one of you gambling away like
nest egg?
$100,000. You're basically your entire everything that you own except for the RV, basically in one night. Then that's a strong marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they almost didn't. They had their dam argument.
Yeah.
On the Hoover Dam.
The Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
And she proceeds to hitchhike and run away with the guy who's driving the car, Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds, who just passed away a couple of days ago.
Yep.
And it was funny. He had a very nice speaking voice.
Yeah.
You never hear him talk as Ogre. He's always just growling and grunting, but that was funny. The notion of dropping out, they're 15 to 20 years too late for that Easy Rider hippie mentality movement to tune in, turn on, and drop out.
Yep.
He didn't really get fired. He loses his shit over being transferred.
They want to move him to New York to work on...
He thought he was going to get a promotion.
Yeah.
And they end up
transferring him.
trying
So
to,
it's a lateral move, but it's not a demotion.
Yeah.
He's still going to make $100,000 a year, but he's pissed off and he shows his ass. And
quite a funny scene. I thought,
and the other guy in the room who will come back later looks like skinny Kevin from The Office.
Yeah, he does.
I really like it. For the listeners, if you don't know who Julie Haggerty is, she was the wife in Richard Dreyfuss's wife in What About Bob? And what else was she in?
Well, famously, she's the lead actress in the Airplane franchise.
That's what I always
Thank
think
you.
of her
Thank
from, and
you.
I've always have she always just reads really weird to me
Yeah.
because of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then so I wasn't surprised when she gambled all the money away. I'm like, yeah, that tracks.
Yep, totally tracked.
Yeah. And I would say Albert Brooks's comedic style is very much Woody Allen, except not annoying, actually funny, and less rapey.
Well, I actually went into this movie knowing full well that it was an Albert Brooks movie, but for some reason I thought that it was written and directed by Mel Brooks. I don't know.
Wow!
And so I was really confused for the first maybe 45 minutes, and then I was like, because I was expecting sort of Blazing
Absurdist
Saddles,
comedy,
absurdist kind of satire, and once I kind of settled into this is sort of more of a low key.
That's amazing.
Comic drama, then okay, I liked it a lot. But
Now, I don't feel so bad for thinking that James L. Brooks was in it. But you had a good point off mic, Shawn, about his character.
Yeah, I felt that Jason Alexander should probably cut Albert Brooks a paycheck for all of his royalties, because that essentially was George Costanza in his early years.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of the same neuroses, a lot of the same anxieties that he really cultivated on Seinfeld.
Yep.
The Winnebago itself is kind of a character in the film.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times the vehicle's kind of like an escape tool. This is your pathway to greater things. And it almost becomes kind of like a little bit of a prison to them as they move along. And the other thing about this movie is great because it is a quote-unquote road movie, but they make it as far as Arizona from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of a very short-lived...
Well, they ultimately make it to New York.
They
but
do.
All that
They
happens
do.
in the epilogue, basically.
Yes, and shout out to the Peachoid in South
Gaffney.
Carolina.
Thank you for
Gaffney.
bringing that up. So in that montage, in the trip from Arizona to New York, they do show the Gaffney Peachoid. But right after that, the next shot is entering South Carolina and then entering North Carolina. So where did they go?
There are
between Gaffney and then
maybe they got lost.
Yeah.
Yes.
There were some interesting edits where they're doing their cross country move to get to New York and ultimately bend the knee to corporate America and realize that dropping out was not really a good option.
Yep.
I like this movie for that reason because I think it kind of that whole notion of I'm gonna live off the grid.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking juvenile.
It definitely is like
and it's also something you could do in the Easy Rider era, but there's a hubris to it because you could, you hear the stories of Bob, they move, they live in New York for $5 a month or whatever, and that's just even then was a passe
But
thing.
Albert Brooks makes the point in the movie that they did have a nest egg. She's like, well, people when they drop out, they do it with nothing. He says they didn't have anything in Easy Rider. He says, yes, they did. They had a gas tank full of cocaine. Right. They sold cocaine. Right. Which is a pretty good nest egg.
And in 1985 money, I mean, their nest egg was pretty substantial.
Oh, yeah.
$100,000 would take you places, and you'd be able to live off that for quite some time back then.
Well, and there's but the very consistent thread is the the Reagan era values lampooning that goes on, because even when we have so it starts off with his losing his shit when he gets fired from his job, and they're trying to smooth it over and make it seem like that, no, this is actually we're not giving you the promotion, but this is even better. You get to go to New York, and he's not having it, and he loses his shit. And then when his wife loses the money, he tries to con the owner of the casino, played by Gary Marshall. He tries to have this capitalist negotiation to try and get him to use them as some sort of commercialized.
And that's Gary Marshall playing the casino owner or manager.
Yeah.
That was one of the stupidest fucking conversations. I know. Gary Marshall's just looking at him the whole time going, yeah, no.
There was a lot of kind of meaningless conversations that he has, like the scene where they get pulled over, and then they end up being let go because of their love for Easy Rider.
That's the one time the Easy Rider thing actually works for their advantage.
Then right before he lets him go, he has to say one more thing. He can't just let it go.
I know.
And he says, hey, do you ever see that movie The Terminator? He's like, no, I heard about it. He says, you should see it. You kind of look like him. But he doesn't look like the Terminator that had been out at that point. He does kind of look like the T-1000 in Terminator 2.
Patrick's,
but what was that?
Yeah,
but I don't think they're meaningless scenes, though, because I think that what you're seeing is that despite his desire to get off the grid and escape the capitalist milieu of the 80s, he's nevertheless embodied that, and he tries to inject it into all of his conversations, and everything's a negotiation. Everything is trying to get a better deal than what he's got.
Go ahead, Joey.
I was just going to say that, kids, what I kind of wanted to say about this movie is, like, it drives me nuts when people want to live off the grid or drop out of society, but then they're still using things that very much don't exist without society. Like all of these, reality shows about people living in the fucking Yukon or whatever, and they're like, oh, we're living off the grid, it's self-reliance, but like you're using gasoline in a fucking snowmobile or whatever. Like that stuff does not exist without this society that you claim to want to separate yourself from. And like these people, we're dropping out of society. No, you're not. You're driving a brand new SUV that you bought with money from the society
on an asphalt freeway
that exists because of taxpayer money, and it's just this stupid fucking libertarian pipe dream. And I'm about to get on a soapbox, so I'll shut the fuck up.
And the scene that precipitates the disaster in the casino plays that out, where his wife's like, "Hey, why don't we just stay in the hotel tonight?" And he's like, "No, we're supposed to be staying in the
suite."
Yeah, right.
With the heart-shaped twin beds.
But he's insisting that we're supposed to be living, the rugged lifestyle in a home that would have been nicer than anyone lived in for the previous 100 years.
And I think that's part of the comedy about this movie is that Albert Brooks' character, being an advertising guy, he is never able to disconnect from pop culture. Like it comes in all the time throughout the movie. We're dropping out. No, you're not, because you were so plugged in to the world, and he can't resist. Like you said, he can't resist with the conversation with the cop. He has to mention Terminator, which at the time was pretty,
huge,
current and timely. So he cannot get out of who he is, and that's how ultimately they're going to fail. Even without her gambling addiction, I think they still would have fucked this up.
Yeah,
at some point.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we didn't mention the jobs that they get in Arizona.
Right.
He goes to first he goes to a pharmacy to ask about a delivery man job.
And he said, I should have said, I guess I shouldn't call it delivery man.
Yeah, but he directs him to the unemployment office, where the unemployment agent guy, whoever the guy who works there, thinks it's hilarious that he made $100,000 and he wouldn't like anything they have to offer, which turns out to be a crossing guard. And he takes the crossing guard job, much to his own chagrin.
And gets heckled by
Some of the
kids,
funniest lines, and we can't say them today.
Yeah.
What the kids say to him.
A lot of the R word.
A lot of the R word.
Variations on the R word I had not heard or thought of. And then her job, she tells him that it's an assistant manager position, and she doesn't want to say where.
Of
'cause
what?
She doesn't want to jinx it. And it turns out to be at Der Wiener Schnitzel. Or Der Wiener Schnitzel. I believe now they just go by Wiener Schnitzel. They dropped the Der.
And her manager is like
18?
18, 19.
Yeah. He was hilarious. He gets distracted watching the Flintstones while they
In the
decide
RV.
on their emergency plan, which is to go as fast as they can to New York. And he's like, and I eat shit? And she's like, yeah. He says, that was my plan too.
Yeah.
I suggest this movie as a marital aid because it really led to some really deep conversations when we started asking each other. So theoretically, what would you do if I gambled away $100,000, our entire savings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides that, my wife and I had the same kind of discussions of like, wouldn't it be cool to buy an RV and just drive around the country and visit our friends? Idealistically, yes, but cooped up together nonstop, we'd probably have to get to a breaking point where we're like, okay, we need some alone time. This is our schedule. We will pull over.
It's
and
either
we will
going to
go our
wreck your
separate
marriage
ways.
or make it really strong.
And then the other thing, the idea of like relying on your friends to act as your host, that's asking an awful lot.
yeah, we're going to be shacking up in your yard for about 2 weeks.
I hope you don't mind.
Right, yeah.
Like Cousin Eddie.
Like Cousin Eddie, another RV.
movie.
Yes, totally.
Awesome.
And then also every time that you pull into a new RV park and you empty the septic tank on the thing, you're obligated to make the shitters full joke.
Of course.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
going to get on our nerves after a while too.
Right. Right.
That said, I've been tempted many times to buy a very small RV just to become a mobile camper type person.
To have the option.
Yeah, to have the option. Not necessarily to make that my life choice. Though.
Right.
I will not throw $250,000 into one of these
Some of those
boats.
Well, now it's the hashtag van life is the thing too.
but
so.
there are like luxury tour buses. Years back when Michelle and I our first year at Bonnaroo, we volunteered and we were working in this area called Rollin' Like a Rock Star, and they had these tour buses, and think like a major stadium tour act band's bus, and they were just tricked out with everything.
And people pay to go to the show on the.
Oh yeah, it was like super VIP.
Speaking of tour buses, this is what I should have made our banter. The David Byrne concert in Durham.
Nice.
His entourage of musicians, because it is like him and a full 20 or so musicians on stage together. The bus line next to the Performing Arts Center
How many?
was at least 6
Wow.
full-length tour buses. And I don't even know if that covers, the crew carrying the stage or whatever. But the stage itself was pretty simple. Anyway.
You
This
mentioned
is
the
not
tour
your
thing.
beautiful
Something
caravan.
a movie that I didn't even think of until now that would have worked perfectly would have been Almost Famous, because they travel both in like a big giant bus thing and a plane, which could sort of count in a way as a anyway.
It is a road
I just
movie.
thought of that. Yeah.
So anyway, this movie was fun. Todd, this was your recommendation. I thought it was a good pick. It definitely ticks all the boxes.
Yep. Travis will have some fun facts, but one I wanted to mention was so Albert Brooks's real name is Albert Einstein, so we can certainly see why he would have chosen a different name for his acting career. But his brother Bob Einstein is also known as Super Dave Osborne.
This sounds so made up.
Yep. And also Marty Funkhauser, if you're a Curb Your Enthusiasm fan, he passed away a few years ago. But yeah, they're brothers, which I didn't know until Bob Einstein died. So
That ties into George Costanza.
Yep.
It sure does. All right, fun facts. Bill Murray was considered for the lead role of David Howard. But
much different movie.
yeah, what would that be like?
Yeah.
I, in my opinion, Bill Murray is much more affable than.
So Albert Brooks would have directed. He wouldn't have acted in it. He
Correct.
would have let. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, due to Murray being heavily booked at the time, co-writer-director Albert Brooks decided not to delay the film a year and play the part himself. In 2011, Drive director Nicholas Winding Refn said that he cast Albert Brooks as a gangster in the film because when he saw Brooks in this film when he was a teenager, he got really frightened by Brooks in the scene where he screams at his wife, Julie Haggerty.
And we just talked about this movie a couple of episodes ago.
Another good tie-in here.
Wow.
There you go.
Good stuff. All right, well, then we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with our individual picks, but not before we all say,
let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
And get ourselves
A melted cheese.
Yeah, who the fuck says melted cheese?
Yum,
So
yum.
I went back and listened.
It's
He actually
time for
doesn't
a
say
tasty
He
and
just says,
refreshing snack.
It's like I've never tasted melted
We
cheese.
promise to
I turned on
satisfy
the
your
captions,
hunger,
too.
It doesn't make
your
them
thirst,
I call it
your
grilled
sweet
cheese,
tooth.
Yeah,
even
yeah.
if it's
So
not
visit our
technically grilled.
refreshment center now.
My wife just
Let's
made
go.
toasted cheese casserole.
Hey, everybody, we're back. I peed in the yard. You guys did.
I did.
You did?
Yeah,
I did
did.
not.
You were like stealth
I
style.
abstained.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Hey,
I always take the opportunity.
very
I'm one of
sneaky.
those,
Nice.
I have a geriatric mindset when it comes to peeing.
Hey, Joey.
Got to do it when you have the chance.
Sometimes when we come back from intermission, what do?
We like to drink beer and we like to talk about drinking beer.
And you've brought a on-theme beer.
I do. It's called Summer Solstice, and it is from
Solstice?
Anderson Valley Brewing.
Anderson Valley Brewing.
I knew
and, it's a beer. Has
Yeah.
notes.
They've changed the label.
Wow.
I think I've had this beer.
Summer solstice. Is it like a Hefeweizen?
I would tell you that if I could read in this light, but I cannot.
Gotcha.
So
We don't have lights in the chop shop. Sorry, folks.
Isn't that the place, Anderson Valley, where they speak their own language called like Bhutanese?
Yes.
What the fuck are y'all talking about? This is
Anderson Valley, the brewing, is based in a community in California, I think Northern California, called Anderson Valley, where they have this like isolated culture and their own language called like Boontling or something like that. You can look it up.
Where does this culture originate
I have
from?
no idea.
This is fascinating. I will-
Confused as to why this would be called a summer solstice. I'm getting a lot of caramel, a lot of vanilla notes that I would associate with other seasons. It's not light by any stretch.
I like it. Well, it's the summer solstice.
Don't get me wrong; it's fine. It's tasty.
The summer solstice means that the summer is
It's
half
halfway,
over,
right?
So maybe we're looking forward to fall.
And the solstice is the longest daylight hours
Yeah,
day
so
of
it's
the
all
year,
downhill
right?
from there.
All right, we're going to continue with our individual picks.
love
Joey,
beer.
you have a movie that's aptly named.
Did I went? I literally when we decided upon the theme, I did not have a film in mind like Todd did. So I really literally just looked up RV on Letterboxd, thinking that there would be like a list with like RV themed movies, and lo and behold, the movie RV popped up.
Okay.
And I thought I'd never seen that. And also, I was kind of in the mood for something really lighthearted because not just for this podcast, we watch a lot of scattershot movies, but I end up watching a lot of just like heavy shit for whatever reason. And then I just wanted to something kind of lighthearted, and I don't really watch a whole lot of comedies anymore. So this one kind of fit the bills. 2006. Directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who did the Men in Black franchise, Get Shorty, I think one of the Addams Family movies maybe, starring Robin Williams, the late, great Robin Williams, Cheryl Hines, who, it broke my heart.
Hey, she's married to a crazy man.
I did not know that until we were watching this movie.
Oh, you didn't know about that. Oh,
And I
wow.
was like, who is that? I like her. What's her name? And my wife was like, fuck that bitch. She's married to RFKJ. And I was like, are you serious? Yeah.
Well, she's most famous as Larry David's wife on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Another connection.
Another
to
tie-in.
Another tie-in, yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that until very recently. Also, stars a young woman who apparently was a pop star briefly, and this is me being old and disconnected from pop music, but JoJo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No idea who that is, but she's in this movie.
Not to be confused with JoJo of Casey and JoJo.
No, that's
thinking the same
that's more in my wheelhouse now. And also Jeff Daniels and Kristen Chenoweth, who are
Okay.
very good in characters that are really broadly drawn, but because those two actors are amazing,
They're so big.
They bring it back. Yeah. This is very much in the National Lampoon's mold. That same kind of formula. You have a bumbling but well-meaning dad who's has some problems going on with work. His exasperated wife, his sarcastic kids who he just wants to connect with, but they're teenagers and they're tweens and teenagers, and they think their dad's lame, and put them on the road and just give us wall-to-wall gags and comic set pieces, very much in the National Lampoon's mold. Not a great comedy, but I laughed several times watching the film, and it didn't all fall flat. They threw a lot of stuff on the wall, lots of bathroom humor, lots of juvenile humor, which is fine. I think it's probably the perfect Mendoza line of comedies.
Okay.
It's just funny enough to be entertaining and goes down easy, ultimately pretty forgettable. The RV itself, since we're talking about RV movies, is a huge part of this movie. It's almost like a character in and of itself. They call it the big rolling turd. So the setup is kind of the inverse of Lost in America, actually. In Lost in America, he quits his job, essentially, in a rage-filled moment, and buys the RV to go on the road. In this one, he buys the RV in order to sell his family on a vacation. They were supposed to go to Hawaii, I think, but he has this important work thing that he has to do in Colorado. So he buys the RV and then tries to sell his family on, oh, this is way more fun than Hawaii. We're going to go on the road in this RV. And, the family doesn't like that or whatever. And so that's kind of the setup of the film. I wanted to ask y'all a question about this one. So, there's a lot of talk now among, conservative-leaning podcasters and influencers and whatnot about how, comedy is dead. You can't do comedy anymore. And I don't agree with that necessarily, because it kind of pisses me off when comics, the only thing that they can draw comedy from is punching down at vulnerable people. So fuck that shit. But at the same time, I do think that there is something to the fact that we're kind of at a point in our culture where we're is it okay to do comedy? What's the last comedy movie that y'all watched?
Oh.
I'm talking about a newer
most
film.
recent. Yeah, there aren't a lot of comedies being pumped out.
What was Deep Freeze? What was that movie with
Cold Storage?
Cold Storage. That was a comedy.
There's a lot of horror comedies still.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think when you mix it with the horror, you get that same kind of mean-spiritedness.
There aren't a lot of out-and-out comedies anymore being...
Well, a lot of them are getting churned out on Netflix and stuff. Adam Sandler, for example, keeps churning out these... He has a deal with Netflix where he keeps churning out
the grown-ups or whatever they're called.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, yeah.
The Wrong Missy.
Yeah.
So the last comedy I watched was a stoner comedy called Pizza Movie with one of the Stranger Things kids. Where they take an unnamed drug and they have to make it downstairs to get their pizza. Then, The Bride was hilarious. Cold Storage, that's a horror comedy. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie is just a straight up
comedy I saw.
Yeah. So the idea that comedy is dead is not true. There are still comedies coming out, but the flavor of it has shifted, I think, a lot of times. And I think that this movie is kind of an evidence of why. And that's because I like this movie. It was funny, but it's already starting to get kind of stale. And if you think back to this kind of era, this was 2006 in the what do we call that? The aughts.
Yeah.
So in the aughts and in the early 2010s, there were a lot of there was this. I think the last wave of those kinds of comedies. There was like Horrible Bosses came out.
Yeah.
And those kind of things, and I think that
the Hangover type movies.
Yeah, and that one maybe is an outlier, but to some degree, the formula gets kind of stale after a while, and you really see it getting stale in this movie. And Robin Williams is Robin Williams. He's obviously amazing, but there's only so much you can do with the material here. And again, I enjoyed this movie. I laughed at it, but it's nothing I would say too special.
Yeah.
I will say that this is probably the most effective RV sewage joke outside of the shitter's full.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, other than that, I don't
In
think
what
it will
way?
hold. There's a scene where they pull up to an RV park, and Robin Williams' character doesn't really know how to empty the shitter exactly, and so he pulls up and he's trying to figure out how, and these other folks who end up being almost as unknowledgeable as he is kind of pull up, and they go through this whole kind of set piece thing where they try to rig the pipes up so that they can drain it, and let's just say that there ends up being a sewage geyser.
Okay.
Essentially.
Right on.
Yeah.
I was picturing the two hoses like waving, like the arms of a wacky waving
Not
inflatable
quite,
arm man.
but that would have happened off camera. All you see is like you get a shot from behind the RV, and then like you see a huge geyser of like sewage pump up afterwards.
The description of this movie reminds me, and it came out a few years after, is We're the Millers, another
RV movie
with Jason Sudeikis and Jennifer Aniston,
Emma Roberts and Will Poulter.
Will Poulter, yep. Interesting.
You want some fun facts?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say about this one.
It's got a 23% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's better than that, but maybe not much better than that.
Fun facts, a lifelong fan of camping, Jeff Daniels has owned an RV for years. According to a Detroit radio interview, his RV driving lessons for the movie were quickly canceled when he arrived on location in his personal recreational vehicle.
Nice.
Throughout the film, a man's humming is used in the score. According to Barry Sonnenfeld, it is actually supposed to be the voice of God. The humming would appear when something disastrous in the movie would happen.
Wow, that's something that a concept that you would never catch on to while you were watching the film.
Is it possible that Barry Sonnenfeld is trying to sound like this movie is more deep than it is?
Probably.
So
he doesn't really strike me as someone who cares about his movies being deep. I don't know.
All right, Todd, you're up, bud.
Okay. So my film is from 2002, directed by Alexander Payne, who's one of my favorite contemporary directors, known for Election, Sideways, Nebraska. Very funny, dark, comedic director, written films about Schmidt, starring Jack Nicholson in a very different role for him. He's not crazy Jack.
more subdued.
And one of my favorite performances of his, actually, because he's very subdued, as you mentioned, but also just the dry humor that he is able to nail from the screenplay. I think it's one of my favorite performances from him.
I was going to say, I think Alexander Payne, I think of him as a dry wit.
Yeah, exactly. Also stars Kathy Bates, playing Jack Nicholson's future in-law.
One of the very few nude scenes.
Yes, and we have a famous nude scene from Kathy Bates in this one in a hot tub. Also, June Squibb, who was recently in a terrific movie. Has a small part in this, but she, is fantastic in anything that she's in. She plays Jack Nicholson's wife. So, the premise of this is Warren Schmidt, who is an insurance salesman for Woodmen of the World, which is a Midwest. So, if you don't know what Woodmen of the World is, it's a very Midwestern, Nebraska-based insurance company, which is kind of important for the plot because he sees himself as being just this sort of heartland Americana sort of guy. And he's retired, and so he has the classic issue with retirement that some of these older people of his generation have, which is that he doesn't know what to do with himself. He feels useless.
That's not going to be me.
He doesn't know what to do. Yeah, exactly. No, but he doesn't know what to do with himself, and so he retires, and he and his wife, Helen. She has used some of her money to buy a Winnebago. And so they have this idea that they're going to drive across the country, which you can tell that he's not that excited about. He likes his plain lifestyle where she's kind of waiting on him hand and foot, basically. So a little curveball is thrown, though, where Helen unexpectedly dies. And now all of a sudden Warren, not only is he retired and kind of in this limbo, but the woman who was sort of, he realizes she annoyed him in a lot of ways, as we see in one scene, but she was kind of the fulcrum of his life, kind of keeping everything in check. And now she's gone, and so the whole thing, his whole life, is in kind of a tailspin all of a sudden. The emotional linchpin of this movie, I think, is a wonderful premise, which is that he has very repressed emotions, as you would imagine the sort of person to be. And the way we get into his inner life is that he sees one of these classic Sally Struthers-esque commercials about, donating to children in Africa for a price of a cup of coffee a day, that kind of thing. And so he does this, and he gets the letter in the mail, and the name of his foster child, which is, in the letter that he gets, they show it where it's just a form letter, and then the name Ndugu is just sort of, pasted in there. And so we have the Dear Ndugu letters that are the emotional linchpin of the movie, which I love, and they're hilarious, deadpan comedy, but also very touching in a lot of ways. And so Ndugu is a 6-year-old boy in Africa who, in the letters that Warren Schmidt writes to him, just kind of unloads all his emotional baggage onto. And so he complains about, his... initially his wife's still alive when he starts this, so he complains about his wife and how her armpits smell and the weird smells and this, that, and the other. After she dies, he expresses his regret for what he said about her, his wife in the past, and admits that he, kind of misses her, unloads about how he feels like his daughter, ignores him and this kind of thing. Warren Schmidt's daughter, played by Hope Davis, is getting married to a hilarious Dermot Mulroney, playing Randall, and he's a water. What do they call it? A waterbed salesman, and he's hilarious in this role. But he's not quote unquote up to snuff for Warren Schmidt's little girl. But they're getting married, and so Warren Schmidt decides to kind of take off across the country to their wedding. Initially, he wants to go and get to Denver, I think it's in Colorado, early, but his daughter makes it clear that they don't want him there early. And so he decides to kind of hit his old,
his
spots.
stomping grounds. Yeah.
His stomping grounds. So he goes to his old university, which is the University in Nebraska. This is
his childhood home.
Yeah, and this is very much in the wheelhouse of Alexander Payne. He has a movie called Nebraska, so this is kind of his wheelhouse. He goes visits his home, original home, which is now a used tire place.
Auto parts store, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to live here.
Yeah.
In the store.
Yep. But you kind of start to like Warren Schmidt. There are things about him you don't like because he is his daughter complains, understandably, because when the wife dies, she says, "Dad, why did you get her such a cheap casket?" And he says, "There was one less cheap," and she was like, "A pine box?
Pine box.
You can't." And he's like, "You can't take me to task for that." But then you find, like in these scenes, he's very likable when he just talks with the tire salesman. In the RV, he ends up at an RV park where he meets this couple who are very nice to him, invite him over for a beer, and all of this, by the way, what I'm describing happens within about 2 hours. So they invite him over. He brings some beer over. They have a couple of beers. They're having a nice conversation, getting to know each other. The husband goes to walk down to get them more beer, and while he's gone, he makes a pass at the guy's wife.
To be fair, I was getting
Yes.
the vibe from them that's
Yeah.
what they wanted.
But, yes, he's very sad emotionally, and that she picks up on that, and he, and so he's not a complete creep, but nevertheless, it creates a very hilarious scene built off of that premise. He ends up in Colorado for the wedding, and Kathy Bates comes in, who, as always, is hilarious and wonderful. She is the opposite of Warren, who is very suppressed and, can't talk about his emotions, whereas Kathy Bates's character will tell you every detail, whether you want to hear it or not. There's a hilarious scene where Warren is in a hot tub that they have, and she just gets him butt naked. We see Kathy Bates in a nude scene, backside, but nevertheless,
there was some side boob.
Just some
little side
boob,
boob, little side boob too. Yeah,
There should be more like real human being nudity in
Agreed.
movies.
yeah. And so Warren, though, has to come to accept, and he does eventually, that his daughter is going to marry this guy that he's not really very fond of. And he makes a very magnanimous speech at the wedding, and that kind of wraps up that part of the plot. But I think the part of the movie, though, where the Winnebago comes into play is it stands in a sort, because it's a Winnebago adventurer. That's one of the things, is that it's just him traveling in this big gigantic Winnebago, but it stands in as this sort of way in which Warren Schmidt is able to, kind of come to terms with his own waywardness. So the wife's died, he's retired now. He goes out in this Winnebago to kind of explore the rest of, to kind of explore his past and that sort of thing. He kind of realizes at the end that he is who he is. He goes back home, ends up at his home, and then there's this very touching scene at the end where he gets a letter from Ndugu where a nun has written back for Ndugu, and Ndugu has sent him a drawing. He's like, Ndugu sent you enclosed a drawing, a painting for you, which is just two stick figures holding hands, but one of them is supposed to be him, and he just breaks down weeping. And there's just a close-up of Jack Nicholson's face weeping, and then kind of ending with a little smile as the film ends. And so there's a little bit of hope that comes in at the end, even though he's realized he's kind of, he's a guy that's going to be in his space. He's not going to be the wayward traveler in a Winnebago. But in any case, I think it's a wonderful film. I love it.
Not until the sequel when he goes to Africa.
Yes.
So Ndugu's
Schmidt
not
goes
real,
to Africa,
right?
Yes.
Clearly, that's the part that I found to be the most amusing. That he has this emotional floodgate moment over something that's entirely fictional.
Yep. I love, too, the little touches in the Ndugu letters when he's like, I put a little extra in the check this month for you to spend it as you would like. And he's like, I'm sorry I rambled on. I'm sure you want to run down to the store to cash your check, that kind of thing. So you're right. There's this obliviousness that plays into, like, the way that older people in our society are. Like, there's just this.
I have a prediction. I predict that before the year of 2026 is out, we're going to be doing a Jack Nicholson bracket.
Wow.
He's pretty old.
He is up there, and he's not doing too great.
He doesn't seem very healthy, and those guys are dropping like flies, man.
Yep.
You want some fun facts on that note?
Yeah, great. Fun facts. Thanks, Joey.
Well, actually,
everybody got to die, man. I'm not wishing him dead.
Speaking of, the shot where Schmidt has dozed off while writing a letter in his bathtub is supposed to resemble the Jacques-Louis David painting "The Death of Marat."
Ah,
interesting.
You mentioned the Woodmen of the World.
Yep.
It is a real organization. It's a life insurance society, but it also has some kind of like fraternal organization.
Yeah, they have. There's a
it.
lodge like somewhere around
on the way
here,
to the beach.
on the way to Myrtle Beach from here. Yeah, you pass right by it.
Jack Nicholson filmed his scene at the company's offices and was given a plaque making him an honorary Woodman member. The primary source, this is where we're really getting into conspiracy theories here. The primary source cited by Wikipedia for its entry on Woodmen of the World is Alvin J. Schmidt. And the book is on fraternal organizations.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Interesting.
All right, over to me.
Yeah, man, go for it.
All right, it's time for Winnebago Man. This is a documentary that everybody should see from 2008. And it's ostensibly about a man, a very angry man, but it's also about a moment in time where viral videos became a thing. It was directed by Ben Steinbauer, and we've got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. The documentary starts with Steinbauer's obsession with the widely circulated viral video featuring outtakes from a Winnebago commercial shoot centered on a cantankerous pitchman, Jack Rebney, a former broadcast journalist. In the video, Rebney regularly becomes outraged and flustered, cursing in colorful mannerisms, to say the least. Flying off the handle, shot after shot. And one of the things that's always stuck with me is the phrase, "Can you do me a kindness?"
Yep. He kind of reminds me of a real-life version of the old man in A Christmas Story who, as Ralphie says, cursing was like his oil or clay.
He wove a tapestry
Yes.
of profanity.
Correct.
So he tracks down the original crew of the video, who explain that the shoot was particularly frustrating experience, and as a result of the outtakes going public, Rebney got fired and they never saw him again. So this documentary filmmaker hires a private detective who ultimately he gives him a list of P.O. boxes. That's all he can find on the guy. There's no other paper trail on him. And so the filmmaker sends a letter to each of those, I don't know, is a dozen or so P.O. boxes, and he gets a hit. And Jack Rebney calls him and leaves him a voicemail basically saying that he's open. He doesn't know why anybody would want to talk to him, but he's open to talking. And so Ben tracks him down and spends the day with him, and he seems very pleasant, and he even speaks highly about the Winnebago company that fired him. He is just very, very pleasant and affable. And then as soon as Ben, the filmmaker, gets back home, he gets a call from Jack saying that it was all a farce and that he was just putting him on because he thought that's what people wanted. So he goes back a second time to interview him and meets the real Jack Rebney, where he is this cantankerous old man with a lot of very specific views on society, and who will fly off at the drop of a hat in these profane tirades. But he is old now. He's 76 years old. He's living on the top of a mountain in Northern California. Over the span of the film, he pretty much goes blind. And before that point in the movie, I was looking at his eyes. And I was like, there's something off about his eyes. To the point where he gets lost at night trying to get back walking by himself. Eventually, the filmmaker convinces him to do another video in front of the Walmart talking about whatever he wants to talk about. And that is actually well received. And then he convinces him to come and appear at the Found Footage Festival. And he speaks, and he's well received there. And he ends up feeling that maybe these millennials aren't completely hopeless after all. And so it kind of ends on an uplifting note. Now, that being said, this brings me right into my fun facts. Steinbauer released a short film later entitled Extraordinarily Unusual, Surprising the Winnebago Man in 2017. It was a documentary documenting his return visit to Rebney on his 87th birthday, bringing some of his old friends to celebrate. And sadly, Rebney passed away just 3 years ago, almost to the day. He died on May 10th, 2023, at the age of 93. And what do we call that, Shawn?
A good run.
That's right.
It's an interesting documentary, but my biggest problem with it, as I mentioned to you.
It's not a road movie?
No. It's not even pertinent to the episode in the terms of what my issue is. It's the guy, Ben, is trying so hard to be Michael Moore.
Right.
We're going to find out what's going on here, and it's all about me, and I'm going to guide the action. And it's like, shut up, dude. Just let the man talk.
Yeah.
Because Rebney is an interesting character because you have what's captured on film of his profanity-laden outtakes, but he is a man of letters. He is, erudite. He is smart and thoughtful, and he has an opinion.
He keeps railing about or Dick Cheney, and so that's the era.
Yeah, but he has a great story as a newsman, and very much an opinionated person. So there was a lot of stuff that I thought could have been mined from this had the fucking director just shut the hell up.
I am interested.
Yeah, how did he end up from being this journalist with very erudite journalist to like hawking Winnebagos? Like, how did that happen? I don't think we ever got that.
Well, they touch on it. He basically got fed up with the rat race.
But I think
And
so much
he saw that presenting the news was no longer what's the word I'm looking for journalism objective.
Yeah. Ben was so hell-bent on getting the truth behind this guy.
Right.
And is like, okay, that's not the narrative here. Yeah, you found him. Great. Congratulations. Hats off to you. Now let's get in and figure out this really interesting fellow who got famous for being just cussing up a storm.
Well, they have one of his best friends in the movie.
Yeah.
And he says, this is not the context that Jack Rebney wishes to be remembered
And that
in.
guy is just as interesting. He is an oddball.
Yeah, so I got a really gay vibe from the friend,
You
right?
think?
Okay, so it made me wonder if Jack Rebney was possibly also gay. Now he lives so isolated, and
Or if the friend had an unrequited crush.
Maybe. He shows up carrying a giant wind chime for him.
Yeah.
I would be interested. You mentioned that
Now I'm going to second guess myself. I ever want to bring you guys a wind chime.
Don't ever bring me a wind chime.
Only
unless you mean it.
like phallic shaped wind chimes. You mentioned that he was very critical of Dick Cheney,
Right.
Because that was the time that they were in.
Uh-huh.
I would be interested to see if in the 2017 follow-up
Oh,
he had
yeah.
anything to say about Trump.
Right.
Sure.
Because Trump wasn't even really on the radar in 2008.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was a good pick.
Dick Cheney
I'm
is,
glad you picked it because
Well, Michelle said it wasn't a road movie, but he does have to travel that mountain
it
to
is
see
in a
him,
way.
and they do go on the road to go to
and the Winnebago is
the film
definitely
festival.
a huge part of it.
Yes.
I feel like the world was a better place when things had a much more circuitous route to becoming viral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And that was truly found footage. Somebody just passed a tape. That's how it all starts. The tape,
VHS tape,
to a
which
tape.
ties back
Well, and they
into
gave
the
exa-
VHS episode.
And they gave some examples
Cinema
of some
Chop
other
Shop.
about like I had forgotten about the Star Wars kid.
Uh-huh.
And
God,
but
yeah.
most of these people, it was not a good thing for their lives.
Well,
and,
technically, it's a double lightsaber. Darth Maul used in Phantom Menace.
Nicely done.
yeah.
All right, my pick, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, directed by Stephen Elliott, released in 1994. And it stars Terrence Stamp, Hugo Weaving, Guy Pearce, and Bill Hunter.
Oh man, I love this movie. I'd never seen it before.
You'd never seen it? Okay,
No,
I saw
I
it in
loved it.
2020, and it feels like just yesterday that I saw it.
Yeah.
And so when I went back and watched it and checked in Letterboxd, I was like, oh, it's only been like 2 years since I've seen it. No, it's been quite a bit, but that movie stuck with me so much.
Oh yeah, man.
2 drag queens and a transgender woman are hired to perform a cabaret show at a resort in Alice Springs, Australia. Prompting them to purchase a battered old school bus they named Priscilla. Setting out from Sydney, the trio embarks on a trek across the vast and often unforgiving Australian outback, encountering both breathtaking landscapes and deeply entrenched prejudices in rural towns. As mechanical breakdowns and colorful local encounters test their resolve, the journey transforms from a simple professional gig into a profound exploration of their own identities and friendships. By the time they reach their destination, the vastness of the desert has forced each traveler to confront their past and find a renewed sense of belonging within their chosen family. This movie,
man.
for me, is the very definition of a road movie.
Oh yeah.
You've got point A to point B, all the curves and twists and turns in between, the rural places that these outcasts show up where they are
Yep.
hostilely met.
And the RV breaks down in the middle of a place where they're going to be outcasts, but they meet the one person who's like kind of, their lifeline.
The one good person in all of Australia.
Yeah.
So,
Nicole Kidman.
yes. So first of all, let's talk about the fact that we have the cast of General Zod, Terrence Stamp, rest in peace, joined by Agent Smith, Hugo Weaving, as well as the dude from Memento, in an unusual role. Guy Pearce. I've never seen him in a part like this in all of his body of work. And he is...
It's early in his career, too.
And he is the most over-the-top, out-and-out gay character in the film.
The Queen.
Well, he is a pretty man.
He is
Guy Pearce
gorgeous
is a pretty
in this
man.
movie, too.
Yeah, he is.
I envy his physique in this movie.
Yeah.
And some of the best scenes in the film, in my opinion, are these vast landscape shots of the Australian outback.
Beautiful.
With Guy Pearce on top of the bus wearing these outlandish
silver
costumes with the
thing.
silver foil
Yeah.
dress behind him. And just gorgeous shots.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike Lost in America, though, where the RV is kind of like this pressure cooker for the couple, the Priscilla is kind of their refuge in this case, because they are traveling in these areas where they're not welcome, but they are who they are, and they're themselves within the confines of the bus. Mm-hmm. They even paint the exterior after they're graffitied. I think it says something about AIDS fuckers go home or something. And so they have to paint the Priscilla lavender. And that in and of itself is a huge contrast. You've got this beautiful silver bus in this rough, rugged landscape. And then, as you mentioned, they do break down and they find a couple who are hauling a dead carcass of a kangaroo back. And
They meet the Aborigines.
the Aborigines, who are very welcoming.
Who are awesome.
They are great. They're very welcoming to them.
Yeah.
And then ultimately they meet their friend who has seen Terrence Stamp's troupe of transgender performers back in the day and was a huge fan.
Yeah.
And his how would you his mail order bride?
That's what it seemed like.
They
that
call
sort
her
of
mail
thing,
order
yeah.
bride, who is a performer in her own right.
Yep. She does a ping pong act.
She does the ping pong trick and ultimately leaves him in the movie, and which is good because ultimately he and Terrence Stamp kind of have a shine for one another. In a very sweet performance. As you mentioned, the RV, the bus breaks down. It is a catalyst for several of the plot points in the movie. It's very important in their journey.
Without this movie, there would be no Tu Wong Fu.
I agree.
Yeah.
Also, though, I mentioned Nicole Kidman. Don't confuse this with her movie from 2015 called Queen of the Desert.
Oh.
Just because she's from Australia, this is about a real lady in the Middle East. Kind of like a female Lawrence of Arabia.
For me, though, this movie is just a smile on the face. It is such a fun movie. It does touch on some subjects of prejudice and misunderstanding and unacceptance of various lifestyles.
Yep.
But ultimately, you've got Hugo Weaving's character who is married in kind of a sham marriage, but he also is kind of committed to it in a strange way.
Yeah.
And has a son and worries about how his son perceives him, but his son seems really accepting.
And that turns out to be kind of a sweet thing.
Yeah,
because,
son's very
because
accepting.
he married a woman who was also a lesbian. I think we got so they had evidently had an they don't delve too much into it, but they had an arrangement clearly where they were going to have a kid together.
And then you have Guy Pearce's character, as we mentioned, is very over the top, who puts himself squarely in the crosshairs of some very hostile men by trying to provoke them when they think he might be a woman, but then they realize he's not.
Yep.
But that gives a hero moment for Bill Hunter's character. He kind of has a hero moment.
Robert Bob Spart.
Thank you. So he gets to step up and be the hero, which is...
A.K.A. Broccoli Rob.
Broccoli Rob. It's a great movie. I love it. I think it ages very well too. Early to mid '90s kind of expression of a counterculture that, in view today in the wake of Drag Race, the TV show, we're more familiar with it. Of course, there are those who think that the drag queens are going to destroy our country by reading books to children.
Well, and some people will be
First,
pissed off
it's the sports.
Yes.
And of course, these days, some people will be pissed off that actual transgender people didn't play the roles and that sort of thing.
And I'm sure there's a lot of that, yes. But to his credit, I think Terrence Stamp is phenomenal in this
and
movie.
they all play their roles
And
with sensitivity.
Hugo Weaving is very good.
Yeah.
I think probably the one that you could probably question would be Guy Pearce because it is a little bit over the top. But I know people like that.
No,
Right?
but there
I believe the
is. That's a
character.
real.
Yeah.
That's a real person, and he plays it extremely well in one of his early roles.
If you've not seen this movie, I highly recommend it because it is a great road movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great RV/tour bus type movie, but also I think as a groundbreaker in countercultural, it ticks all the boxes for me. So I quite like it.
I
Joey,
was quite
you're being
taken
very
by it.
silent. You've seen this? Yes.
I
no?
saw it. I saw the first half of it today. I've not yet finished it. So
And then he walked out of the theater.
no, I looked at the clock and I was like, oh shit, I have to leave to go for the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you're in for a treat, sir.
you should finish it.
Yeah.
Travis, do you have fun facts?
I do. Your lovely wife, Allie, would like this one. As of 2024, this is still the most recent contemporary set film, i.e. non-period, non-fantasy, non-sci-fi, to win the Academy Award for Best Costume Design. Also, according to director Stephen Elliott, he got the idea for the film while seeing a plume of feathers break from a drag queen's headdress during Sydney's Mardi Gras parade and go tumbling down a deserted street like a tumbleweed in a Sergio Leone Western.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is kind of a Western, too, in a way, now that you mention
Kind
that.
of, yeah. There's some of those elements.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's road movies with an RV/camper/bus.
Winnebago.
Winnebago.
Oh, Spaceballs.
Well, Spaceballs was a consideration of mine. It's a great movie, and it
was
does
on the
feature Space Winnebago. And the sequel's coming up soon.
Yep, that's
Really?
true.
Another one we could have done if we wanted to add some horror would have been the
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods would have been a good one. The Wes Craven movie.
Hills Have
Hills
Eyes.
Have Eyes. Yes. There's so many of these movies.
Yeah, there are things that
way
you could
more
leave
than
on
would
the.
think.
We had to leave on the cutting room floor. Good stuff. So thank you, gentlemen, for the organic recommendation for this episode. We will be back in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to keep the summertime roll going because we will be post Memorial Day. By the time we record the next episode, we're doing swimming pool movies.
Nice.
Degree of difficulty, no fast times at Ridgemont High. All right, so join us in a couple of weeks. We're going to come back with that. It'll be a lot of fun. In the meantime, please rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends and family about us. We could use the subscribers. We've had a few bumps in the viewership, and I don't know where it's coming from, but thank you.
Till I got shadow banned from Reddit.
Travis was seeding us on Reddit. I'm trying to...
Just stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah, it worked for a little bit. Thank you. For those of you that are listening for the first time or recent subscribers, thank you. Make yourselves known to us. Contact us on social media. We're Cinema Chop Shop everywhere except for YouTube and Blue Sky. We're Cinema Chop Shop Podcast. So contact us there. We want to know who you are so we can come to your house and hang out. Love your friends, love your neighbors. Tell people that you love them because you never know what kind of curveball life is going to throw at you.
I love you guys.
Everybody loves it. You know, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here, and come back next time. And please remember to
Watch, Chop, Retrofit.